This is my last clip. I've been busy working on a dive video, working on whatever. So this is the Tawil part 2, it should be. Chaos Will, or Monowill, as I like to call it. I have termed the coin Monowill based on playing, card games, Mono, Realm, all that. So this is the standard Monowill comp right here. Everyone uses in D-Dive 72K. I was going to do a 72K run. I did 72K runs in the past. You can see it on the spreadsheet, all my 72K run records. It's pretty easy with Monowill. If you can't do it, I think it's a pretty big skill issue, I think. You borrow a whale to will and you use your own supports. These are the recommended supports. The way this comp works. Oh yeah, and the whale to will have this wheel plus 12. Now the whale Monowill chaos to will, which is probably the most expensive comp in the game, or one of the most expensive comps in the game, really wants you to plus 12 this and plus 12 this. If you borrow a whale to will Monowill to run this comp, you will understand why. The reason why is because when you plus 12 a wheel, you can equip 2 of them. And if you can equip 2 of them, their effects stacked. And plus this key flare stat is very important. So what this wheel does, if you can equip it along with her wheel, is whenever she does damage, she gains a shit ton of key flare based on her key flare regen and crit rate. And after releasing a posse. So the entire gimmick works with Riker. Because Riker's ability, sorry if I'm talking before going into the gameplay, because showing you a gameplay clip without explaining it is pointless, and you're fucking retarded if you think that's how the game works. So anyway, moving on. So Riker, you want him at least E2. I borrow a God Riker, which is plus 12 Riker, because I use my own to wheel. When I'm running top, I use it in blue to do 72K there when I want to. Now it's just PvP, because PvP is a lot faster than running, anything. You just have to win a match, and if you're top ranking in PvP top 10%, you get all the rewards that's doing D-Tide, or D-Dive, I mean. So Mono Tawil wants a lot of card draw and strength gain, which is what Riker does, in addition to dice. Now, these are the dice you can get, which I'll show in a moment. So the longer the exploration stage, or the more money you get, the more he can get relics. He doesn't buy it. Some people would use the word buy, and that's a misnomer. He acquires relic depending on how much black sigil or money you gain in that stage. So he's very good on long exploration stages like Thorazine. He does go well with Thorazine if you're looking for a strength stacker card draw. It's Riker. I will make a full video on Riker later for all the furry fans here. He was, if you watch my other videos, a former S tier unit. He has never been nerfed, never been touched. He went from S tier to A tier or B tier on some tier lists. He's A tier on my tier list because he's been power crapped. Units are better than him, but mathematically speaking, if you are God Gotcha, if you are RN Jesus, he is the strongest unit in the game for you if you whale him out. Because he's a gotcha within a gotcha. Everything he does, based on a dice roll. This card, dice roll. His Exo, dice roll. Exo, dice roll. Rouse, dice roll. You can roll a 6. If you keep rolling 6s, he builds up strength the fastest in the entire game. Not even close. If you always hit a 6 on here, 6 times 4, and then remember, this is just a normal Riker. If you go borrow a whale Riker, I don't know why I'm talking about Riker, but it goes well with this comp, which is why I'm talking about it so much. Even though this is a Tawil video, but this is how. But he is the bread and butter of Monowill. He is the bread and butter. He fucking Tawil is the bread. He is the fucking butter. Now get your mind out of the gutter. That's all I meant. So this is God Riker, which I borrow. This is probably the strongest Riker in the entire community. He has plus 12, and he has 100% Covenant with crit damage sigil again. This is insane. The luck and amount of money he spent to get this is insane. This is very good Covenant. This is probably the strongest Riker in the entire game you can possibly borrow. So his Riker, as you can see, I'm going to just click on Riker, it takes a while. Yeah. You know how the game is. So 6 strength, and this value is increased if you use an R2. I think in R2 rules, because when you have a talent, 30%, so it's 30% more of that. So that's a good amount. And if you have a 6 times 6, 36 every exalt. And if you over exalt hammer, it's more. And this, all the strength gain is insane, and the relic as well. So that's God Riker. If you believe in God Riker, go away on him. If you're a super furry or something, if you're king of the furries, you should pull on him. He's a very good support. Now, most people use him not as God Riker. They use him as a support because of this card, which is why he is very good in Monowill. If it crits at E1, it reduces the cost of the card it draws by 2. Even if it doesn't crit, it's a free card draw. So you play this, it hits the boss, it draws a card. And if it crits, it reduces the card cost by 2, by 1 if you have them E0. So that means no more RNG for finding Tawil cards. If your opinion's at the bottom of the deck, unexpected, get them in hand. And this is more RNG. This is not affected by crit rate. This is just by your own pure luck. This is by your own skill level, by how religious you are or how unreligious. Whatever works. Go to different temples, go to different churches, find the religion that helps you hit 6s on this card. If you play this card and it throws a 6, it's this card 0 cost. More card draw. You keep going forever, basically. And that's the entire premise of this cup. Hamill and Riker, they let Tawil keep going infinitely. That's why another name for Mono Tawil is Infinite Tawil or Infinity Tawil. That's another nickname for this comp. Why is Karen here? Karen's here is to provide a free-to-play good option for people to run this comp, because this comp is already very expensive compared to other comps. So Karen's here as a standard unit just to exist, unlike Clem, which is useless. Why? She has retained on this card and this card. And you just hold this every turn and it reduces costs to cycle for your deck faster. When you redraw your deck, as long as the cards aren't played and they're retained, they don't get shuffled back into the deck. That means your deck is thinner. So you never sell these 2 cards on retain. Now, so that is the sole reason why she's here. So also her Exo also gives you a Rhythmica, which is sometimes wanted. So that is Karen's role in this team, doing nothing. Sometimes doing nothing is better than being trash, dude. So she's just standing there, looking pretty, tending to your wounds. Not even tending wounds. She doesn't do anything. You sell all her cards. You like keep those cards in your hand, never playing them, and you cycle through wings, and you play 1 trillion wings. Now, there are other variations of this comp. I'm gonna go over every variation of Mono Tawil. Now, these are the main 3, bread and butter. The last slot is flexible. Now, I've seen great success by replacing Karen with Okir. That's fine, but that's time gated. Replacing it with G Ramona, because she also has more card draw to fill this and strength gain. Now, replacing it with G Ramona is very good. Why? You can then believe in the Obsession Eternal. Just like in my Red Will video, if you watch it, whenever you exalt, it procs Riker's dice. And she benefits from strength gain. So you build up a shit ton of strength over time. You hold 1 trillion dice in your hand, and you play it all for 1 big burst turn. So, speaking of Tawil, what cards do you want from Chaos? Now, the problem with Chaos is that there's too many units in it, because it was the original Mixer Realm. In Arc 1, you can only mix realms with Chaos. You cannot mix blue with Ultra. You cannot mix blue with red. You cannot mix red with Ultra. You can only mix Chaos with everyone else. So they have a disproportionate amount of units compared to other realms. And that means there are more choices to choose from. So right now there are, 15 units in Chaos. So 14 because you subtract Tawil from that. Oh, and then you add back regular Ramona, so 15. So 15 times 2, so there's 30 card choices that you can get from Tawil Exo. compared to every other realm. And most of those 30s are complete dog shit. Like, they're not dog shit cards in general, but they're dog shit in the context of the comp you are running. Because some of these Chaos Awaker cards really only benefit that specific Awaker. Like, here we have clogged up the 4 SR units. So 4 SR units. Like, again, Ramona is fine. She's one of the good cards. So 3 SR units. And everyone knows they're the starter units. They've been very old designed. So you don't really... Like, these cards, pretty boring for Tawil to pull compared to Blue Realm, for example, which has drastically better cards because they have a smaller pool of units, so you're more likely to get the card you want and more variety of card. Now, Gito card, great, S tier. How likely are you going to pull a Gito card compared to, like, Alba card, trash tier? Like, do you want to pull a combat stance on Tawil? Do you want to pull this shitty precision strike? No, you don't want to get those cards. Now, do you want to get Karen's card? Remember, those cards are just for you to just hold in hand. No, you don't want this flat scaling. So that's a con of it. But the cards that do have allows you to counter certain comps in the game. Like, if you're fighting against a counter unit like Caucus or like Dog, you want to play Monowill. Why? You get to play Panda's card without having to put the shit unit on your team. Because Wax Hot Desire is one of the only cards, probably the only cards. I have to go from Mamai, so I just got off of work, so I'm recording this video. So this is probably the only card that removes the entire unit's counter. So if there's a boss that has permanent counter, you pull this card, you hold it in hand, boom, you counter that boss completely without running Pandia. You're flexible, so if there's a counter box, you run Mono Tawil, you pull Pandia's counter card. That's why Tawil's an S tier unit. She has a solution to every problem you'll possibly face in the entire game, which is why we'll probably never get a unit as powerful as Tawil ever again. So generally speaking, you want to get G Ramona's Predetermined Strike. Now, this Predetermined Strike card is one of the strongest scaling cards in the entire game. It scales stronger than Dorazine. Why? Dorazine is a 5x strength scaler. This card is a base 3x strength scaler. So it benefits from strength 3 times more than other cards. Now, this card has a different effect. Every time a posse is used, the strength multiplier is increased by 1 for this battle. That scales infinitely. So the purpose of Mono Tawil is to pull as many of these cards as possible and just hold them in your hand and guard them like the treasures they are until you have enough strength and use your posse enough to do one big hit. Now, this card, eventually you can hit for 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, just like a Dorazine card. You try to find as many of these as possible, and you try to exalt as much as possible. Not exalt, posse as much as possible with that card. That's generally how you play Mono Tawil endgame. It has been nerfed in Arc 2, but in Arc 1, it's still very strong with Costco. Very, very strong. Arc 2, everyone knows, but I'm just going over one more time. After you play 10 cards, every card gets more expensive. This is the effect. So you cannot infinite loop anymore. You're limited to basically 10, 14 cards, really, until you have to stop. And your Arithmetica cannot exceed 12. So that kind of puts a damper on Mono Tawil. That's why Blue rose from the ashes. So that's basically the gist of how to run this comp. So you draw cards, you play cards, you exalt whenever possible. And this exalt is this posse is interchangeable. You can use this for more strength. You use mouse. You can use Sea Festival. Some people don't like running Sea Festival on this, and it's valid. The reason why is because you already have so much card draw with the units you have that you don't need Sea Festival to make up for it. But it's still a pretty good choice overall. So anyway, let's get on to the gameplay. So I have recorded gameplay, but I realized that it's a lot faster to show you a past video I made. So this is Morimens Chaos Realm Guide Part 3. So this basically shows the comp in action. Let me just speed this. This is my video. So don't have to worry about getting permission. I give myself permission to play this video. So this is basically it. You just keep playing cards and you never stop. You never stop. You never stop playing cards. You play like 200, 500 cards a turn, probably. Because you infinitely fill. When you run out of mana, you play expensive cards with, because Tawil, you can play your cards with mana. Magic Hat is what you use for 72k, 7200, and in general. Because Magic Hat, or Trickster Hat, as the new name is called, I hate the retranslations every time they do. If it's a cheap wings, you play it with mana. If it's an expensive wing, you play it with Esky. See all those 0 costs? I'm playing it with a mana. I'm playing them, and I'm getting my mana low right now. I'm not using those insights. I'm using Esky to play the expensive cards that roll with Magic Hat. So that 4 cost, you always want to play with Esky. That's Tawil's ability. If you don't have enough mana, you can play with Esky. If you do have enough mana, you play with mana. So with Magic Hat, you infinitely play this. So with 0 cost, you play it with whatever, and boom. That's like a trillion cards play turn 1, and it never stops. And in R2, you have to do the predetermined path. You cannot infinitely play anymore. You just have to do strength gain every turn. And pray on your dear Lord. I do not recommend Mono Tawil for most bosses R2 because of the nerf. Because the dev saw this comp and was like, yeah, this is broken. This is broken. So that's why the R2 rule is in place. Tawil is responsible for that rule. This comp is responsible for that rule. So let me go back to the game. So this comp is everywhere in D-Tide. I haven't done, I do PvP now, but it's everywhere, etc. 7200. This is Mono Tawil. Number Karen is a good option, mana. So you want to run Costco and Bees Wheel. So you borrow a Whale Tawil with this. You will not be able to afford this if you're an average person. So let's look at a cards play. Yep, 642 cards play. Particular use 400. Yep. It's a lot of cards. A lot of cards you want to play in this comp. You might get arthritis if you play this comp in Arc 1. Again, in Arc 2, you cannot do infinite Tawil. You have to do what I told you at the beginning of the video. You have to pull predetermined strike. That's how the comp works. And it's more RNG than Blue Will in general, because Blue Will, it's less RNG because look at Arc 4, less units and more good cards that you possibly get. Because Miriam and Pharaoh's card both do the same thing Poison was. Every card has its use. Now, as more units release, it will get weaker and weaker because it's more RNG involved. Anyway, that's it for the Mono Tawil guide video. Watch my gameplay. I'm going to do 7,200 runs or 72,000 runs in another video rather than make this series 5 hours long. Anyway, see you guys later.